All right, everyone, welcome back to TNT Digital Mindset. Today, we're cutting through the noise and zeroing in on the digital trends that actually matter. I've leveraged advanced AI to distill the latest research into clear, actionable insights, so we can focus on strategy, not fluff. Let's get started.
Have you ever felt like you're just constantly chasing something? More money, a bigger business, but it always feels like you're running on a treadmill? Well, what if the whole approach is backward? Today, we're going to break down the blueprint for creating massive value, something inspired by the principles that Tony Robbins built his entire world on. It's really about a shift from getting to giving, and it all starts with seeing currency in a totally new way. Let's jump in. This one sentence, right here, is the foundation for everything we're about to talk about. Now, it sounds simple, I know, but when you really let this sink in, it changes the entire game. It's not about what you can get from the world. It's about what you can give to it. This is the idea Tony Robbins built his life on, and honestly, it's the first domino that has to fall before any real success can follow. All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with that core mindset shift. Then we'll get into the actual system for creating real-world worth. After that, we'll look at what it takes to turn those ideas into actual results, how you can scale beyond just yourself, and finally, we'll talk about the biggest barrier of all, the one inside your own head. First up, let's talk about this different kind of currency. See, before you even think about a strategy or a business plan, there has to be a fundamental change in how you think. It's all about moving from a headspace of getting to one of giving. So where did this all come from for Tony? Well, it actually started from one single incredibly powerful moment when he was just 11 years old. His family had nothing, no money, no food for Thanksgiving. And then there's a knock at the door. It's a complete stranger holding a full Thanksgiving dinner. That one act of kindness from someone who wanted nothing in return completely flipped a switch in his brain. It proved to him that people do care, and it kicked off a lifelong mission. And this is just the perfect example of the compounding effect of that mindset. I mean, look at this. It started with the decision at 17 years old to feed 2 families. That grew to 4, then 8. Pretty soon he was feeding 4 million people a year through his foundation. And now, the mission is to provide 1 billion meals. It all scaled from that one moment and that one focus on giving. So that's the mindset, right? But having a giving mindset on its own isn't quite enough. How do you actually translate that intention into practical, real-world value? The kind of value that the marketplace actually recognizes and, frankly, rewards. Well, that brings us right to our second point, becoming invaluable. This is such a critical distinction, and it's something Tony learned from his first mentor, the great Jim Rohn. It's kind of a hard truth to swallow. While we are all absolutely equal as human beings, we're just not equal in the marketplace. The reason someone managing a hedge fund can make $1 billion while a teacher makes $50,000 isn't about fairness. It's about the difference in their perceived value in that marketplace. So what does that even mean, value? It's actually pretty simple when you break it down. It means doing more for other people than anybody else is willing to do. Your income becomes a direct reflection of the value you provide. You want to earn more? You have to find a way to serve more people, solve bigger problems, or just deliver better results than your competition. It's that simple. And this right here is where a lot of people get tripped up. Adding value isn't just about doing what you're passionate about or giving what you feel like giving. That can be a hobby, and that's great. But true marketplace value, that comes from finding out what people actually need. What are their problems, their pains, their biggest desires, and then delivering a real solution. The market rewards results, not just good intentions. Okay, so you've got the mindset, you found a real need in the market. That's a fantastic start. But an idea or even a skill is totally worthless with the engine of execution. This is all about that relentless, unstoppable drive to turn potential value into real, tangible results. Tony's been asked 1 million times what the one common trait is that he sees in every single highly successful person he's ever met. We're talking billionaires, elite athletes, the best of the best. His answer is always the same. It's hunger. It's this relentless drive that just never says good enough. These people don't complain about the system being unfair. They just find a way to break right through it. Let's make this real for a second. We watch Steph Curry on TV, and he's just sinking these impossible shots. And we say, wow, what a talent. But look at what's behind that so-called talent. Over his pro career, it's estimated he's taken 2.5 million practice shots. Let that sink in. 2.5 million. That's the engine of execution. And this quote just captures it perfectly, doesn't it? The public success, the awards, the money, all of it, it's just the tip of the iceberg. It's the direct result of thousands and thousands of hours of intense, unseen private preparation. Mastery is never an accident. It's forged in that relentless practice. So, you're executing, you're creating value, that's awesome. But if you're the only one doing all the work, you are going to hit a ceiling and you're going to hit it hard. To get to that next level, to achieve massive scale, you have to learn how to leverage yourself. This is about making that critical shift from doing all the work to building systems that work for you. Look, hustle is absolutely essential at the start. You have to be willing to grind, to do whatever it takes. But hustle alone does not build an empire. Hustle alone leads to burnout. The next phase is all about strategic leverage. It's about going from doing it all yourself to building an incredible team of leaders who can execute the vision. That is how you create real, sustainable growth. So what's that process actually look like? Well, first, you have to master one thing. You get so unbelievably good at your core business that it can almost run on its own. Second, you go out and you recruit leaders who are just as good or maybe even better than you at running the day-to-day operations. And third, that frees you up. It lets you step back and apply strategic scale to focus on the big picture, on where you're going next. So we've covered the mindset, the value creation, the execution, and the scaling. But there's one final barrier. One last thing that stops most people dead in their tracks. And it's not something external, it's internal. It's the story that you tell yourself about why you can't do it. Man, this is such a powerful idea. Most of us, rather than face our real fears, fear of failure, fear of rejection, we build a story to protect ourselves. Oh, I can't succeed because I have ADHD. Or I can't trust people because of what happened to me. These stories feel like a protective wall, right? But what we don't realize is that same wall becomes our prison. It limits what's even possible. So I'm going to ask you to really think about this. What's your story? What's that thing you tell yourself over and over that keeps you on the sidelines? Because being fearless doesn't mean you don't have fear. Not at all. It means you feel the fear, you hear that story, and you take action anyway. Courage is just doing it scared. So when it all comes down to it, what fuels this entire thing? The source of that relentless energy, the will to break through any barrier? It comes from having a mission that's bigger than you are. It could be your kids, your family, your community, your purpose, whatever it is. When you find something you care about more than your own comfort, you become truly unstoppable. The blueprint is right here. The only real question is, what are you going to build with it? If you want more practical insights to help bring your own vision to life, make sure you subscribe to TNT Digital Mindset on YouTube. We'll see you in the next one.